Duke Blue Devils trying to win 4 straight, something no team has ever done in ACC tournament history. Marcus Melvin, Carlos Boozer get ready to jump it up. Wolfpack in their road red, and the Blue Devils in their home white and blue, and we are ready with it. And of course our officials today, Larry Rose, Mike Wood, and Duke Edsel. Hip control by Chris Duhan. And the Duke Blue Devils come out, and they'll be facing, looks to be a zone against NC State early on.
NC State a 2-3 zone.
And Boozer gets behind it, hangs one on the rim, gets his board, misses that, but we got a foul. And it's going to be on Archie Miller.
And that is a very unusual circumstance that Carlos Boozer misses any shots, much less a shot point blank range.
Well, against NC State in particular, Boozer 22 of 27 against State, including 13 of 14 in the 108-71 rout less than a month ago. And there's his tournament numbers. Those numbers for Duke somewhat deflated because of the slowdown game that they endured with North Carolina in the quarterfinals. Tar Heels came in looking to take some time off the clock. And nearly succeeded there for a while. Boozer 1 out of 2 on the line.
Well, they succeeded in taking time off the clock. They just weren't as productive with it as they had hoped to be.
Still turned the ball over quite a bit, which you cannot do against Duke. And that's going to be the key here this afternoon for NC State as they execute. Eftimov had a mismatch on Duhan inside, and luckily Dunleavy get over and swipe the ball out of bounds.
Duke has to be very conscious of helping against those kind of mismatches inside, but also getting back to their men. That three-point shooting for NC State in this tournament has been outstanding.
Dunleavy boards the three-point miss by Archie Miller, and here comes Jason Williams to push it hard for Duke.
Duke would really like to get the ball down the court before NC State can set its defense.
And that's why, because Boozer is ready inside with the first field goal of the game. 3-0 Duke.
It's a tough dilemma. Do you go down and you help out against Boozer, and then he kicks it out for the 3? Just exactly how do you handle that?
Julius Hodge feeds the post. Eftimov across to Grundy, who had an opening. Instead drives for the basket, the first of the day for the Wolfpack.
I think that was a good decision by Grundy to take the ball to the basket, sort of establish the fact that he's going to drive to the goal first.
Duhan for 3, rattles out. Melvin boards the miss. Marcus Melvin, 19 points in the semifinal win over Maryland yesterday.
Now, you don't have to throw it to Boozer every single time, but Boozer has gotten 2 really easy looks, so why would you shoot that 3 without even letting Boozer touch the ball?
Exactly. Here's Melvin, nice screen by Eftimov. Duke is going to switch out more screens and handoffs out front. Here comes Miller down the lane. Hodge now will take it inside. The medium range doesn't go. Melvin tries to track the miss. Boozer steals the inbound. Dante Jones, a defensive specialist. Jason Williams' first shot of the day is a 3 from the wing. 6-2 Duke. We're early on, 2 minutes into this ACC Championship game.
Duke that time a wide open 3 before NC State's able to set its defense. And you notice early in the game, Duke really running out at the 3-point shooters. I think the ability to put the ball on the deck, go by for a dribble or 2, pull up and shoot the jump shot is going to be a key today for NC State. See, you don't want to take the ball that deeply into the lane. That gets right into the teeth of the Duke defense.
Marcus Melvin getting tied up there.
This is great ball movement by Duke. Melvin was still getting in his defensive position, and Williams is wide open. And that's the kind of a shot. Sometimes that open 3 in transition is the best look you're going to get.
NC State had the possession arrow. We got a whistle.
3-0, boom.
And we've got a hold on Dante Jones. So Jones with a hold. First team foul for Duke, and his first personal, obviously.
A lot on Dante Jones, on the shoulders of Dante Jones today. He's the guy who's expected to chase Anthony Grundy.
The bounce pass comes to Grundy. Down into the paint. They tried to get it to Melvin, but knocking it out is Dunleavy. Duhan steadies the ball. From the wing, Williams almost put it in, but it's Dante Jones to push it in at the last second.
NC State is not a great rebounding team, and they struggle sometimes against rebounding opponents. They gave up offensive rebounds against Maryland in the game that they played yesterday.
Watch Jones finish this play off for Duke at the other end.
The drive by Williams. You notice he draws 3 guys. Dunleavy's in position against Anthony Grundy. And Dante Jones sneaks in. 11 offensive rebounds were given up yesterday against the Maryland Terrapins.
Here's Grundy with a medium-range jumper, and he hits. Anthony Grundy has all 4 of NC State's points. It's 8-4 Duke.
Talked about minimizing the runs, and the way you do that is you score consistently, and so they're going to need some offense, not only from Anthony Grundy, but NC State's been getting very balanced scoring the first couple of games. They need to continue that, the early field goals.
Comes Williams, penetrates, gets inside, and Duke getting good penetration on that NC State zone. A concern for Herb Sendek early. 5 points for Jason Williams. Hodge has struggled in this series against Duke. He's only scored 3 points in 2 games.
And that's the pull-up jump shot, but he didn't really pull up. He was still floating as he shot that.
And Dunleavy penetrates to the baseline and gets the pass.
Boy, just way too easy. Duke getting anything they want against that NC State zone defense.
They've got an 8-point lead, and Herb Sendek wants to take a 30-second timeout to talk things over. Watch how Dunleavy gets open.
Dunleavy's just standing in the middle. Everybody goes after the ball. Somebody's got to stay back. And if it's a 2-3 zone, you have 3 guys along the baseline. Somebody's got to stay along. Here, Eftimov gets himself tied up trying to get around Boozer, and that allows Williams the lane to the basket.
The man who pretty much runs the defense for NC State is that man next to Herb Sendek. That's Larry Hunter, longtime head coach at Ohio University, and Herb added him to his staff this year. He primarily handles defense. The offense that everybody's been talking about that NC State has developed is something that the coaching staff put together and decided to go through over the summer.
You have to be able to evaluate your personnel and find out what you can do well and what you don't do so well. And North Carolina State, you just get a look at these guys out here. They're not going to overpower you with their size and muscle on the inside. So what they've done is develop an offensive scheme that allows their guys to have a lot of space and a lot of freedom to operate.
Archie Miller being dogged by Chris Duhon out top. Eftimov chased by Boozer. Eftimov tries to flip it down low to Hodge. It's knocked off the 3rd turnover. I think Dunleavy got a hand on it. Here's Dante Jones inside for 2 more. He's got 4, and Duke's got a 10-point lead.
Layup after layup, Steve. We've had 1 3-point basket in the game. That was by Jason Williams. The rest have come on layups. The one free throw was Carlos Boozer getting fouled on a layup.
Here comes Grundy into the paint. Fades. I don't know if that was a pass or a shot. Williams steals it, comes back the other way, and Marcus Melvin will pick it up off the front of the rim for his 3rd board. Melvin, good ball handler, but Williams around, snuffing out the steal. Here's Hodge for 3.
And that puts a little crimp in that run. Remember, we talked about minimizing the runs. Duke with 14-4. Now NC State draws it a little bit closer. They've got to get a defensive stop here.
That's right.
Duke just getting anything they want.
NC State still in that zone.
Trying to match up out of the zone.
Into the middle it goes to Boozer. Dunleavy along the wing. Duhon finds Boozer inside. It's too easy still. Boozer with 5, and the Wolfpack trailing by 9.
Boy, Duke's attack really very effective. NC State trying to get out and cover 3-point shooters and also worried about the penetration, and they're just leaving guys alone under the basket.
You gotta choose your poison and live with it. Here comes Grundy inside on the baseline. Dante Jones proving a foil to him. Duke 7 out of 10 from the floor. Williams, blind pass, deflected to Dunleavy for 3. Dunleavy hit his first 6 shots in the win over Wake Forest yesterday. Hodge down the lane, off the glass. Boozer tips. Here's Grundy. Marcus Melvin, 3-ball for him. Whoa, wow.
That was a good pass by Archie Miller. And NC State has been very effective making the extra pass to get the open shot. But as well as they've played for 2 days, this is the 3rd game in 3 days. You have to wonder whether they have the legs to shoot the ball as well as they've been shooting it in this tournament.
15 of 31 from 3-point land yesterday. 14 of 21 in the quarters. Here's Williams for 3 more. And he's 2 for 2. 19-7, Duke efficiently out front by 12.
It's it's just very easy for Duke on the offensive end, and they're really doing a nice job defensively. NC State's turned it over a couple of times.
Grundy posted up. There's a double by Dunleavy. A dig out by Williams for the steal, and numbers for Duke going back 4-1. And Boozer will finish.
NC State is on the verge of getting completely blown out of this game early. This is the way Duke wanted to start. Just come out and really put pressure on North Carolina State. It's hard for them to be as patient on offense as they would like to be if they're way down.
Eftimov holds at the top. Hodge on the wing and Williams chasing him. Marcus Melvin and Mike Dunleavy going at each other.
You know, there's lots of time left. You don't want to feel like you got to score immediately every time down.
Melvin misses the three. There's the over-the-back foul by Julius Hodge, and we've got a timeout. And it's much needed by Herb Sendek's troops. They're down 21-7. Duke off to a great start. 21-7 over the NC State Wolfpack in this championship game, and getting it done inside is where Duke's lived so far.
Steve, before the game, we talked about the fact that 75% of Duke's offense comes from inside the arc. It's Boozer inside. It's Jason Williams driving to the basket. And here you have Dunleavy scoring on a Duhon assist. The penetration, the passes. Duke's really done the job inside. They're just simply dominant in there. You can see 13-2, the points on the interior. Duke, 7 assists in 9 baskets, which means they're getting easy opportunities.
And they lead here by 14. Talk about runs in this game, Dan, to prevent Duke from getting on one. NC State has failed to. 13-3 over the last 3.5.
I don't think it's possible to completely prevent them, but you can't have them be extended, and Duke's on an extended run right now.
And State has switched to a man-to-man. Jason Williams misses. Nick Horvath is in the game along with Daniel Hewins. Carlos Boozer and Mike Dunleavy get a rest early.
And NC State's got to get back to what they do well on the offensive end. They don't hold the ball, but they move it enough so that they get a good look at the basket.
Hodge up and under. Won't work for him. He's had a couple of good looks. This is Jordan Collins who misses.
I don't know that I'd say Hodge has had good looks. He's had the ball close to the basket, but they've been contested shots. He's been sort of out of control.
And the ball slapped on the end line before it got into the hands of Dante Jones, so it'll be NC State ball with 12:16 left to go.
And the other thing you have to remember about the Duke Blue Devils, at the pace that they play, they're going to turn the ball over some. They're going to give NC State an opportunity to get back in the game, but NC State has to take advantage of the opportunity to score some points.
Wake Forest was down 25-7 yesterday. Dan came back in the second half and almost tied the ball game up. It was a 1-point game with 12 to play. And Duke did just that, turned the ball over. This is Clifford Crawford's three-point attempt. Hodge with a behind-the-back pass taken by Horvath. Here's the three by Ewing. And Collins gets up there and tips to Eftimov. So there's a stop, the first in a while.
Well, they had one the last time down, so you've got to take advantage when you make those stops. Duke, of course, in the man-to-man defense. North Carolina State tries to spread it out.
No baskets for 4 minutes. And it'll continue. Collins misses. Grundy makes, and he'll get fouled.
And how many times have we seen that this year? North Carolina State needs somebody to make a play, and there's Anthony Grundy making the play. Now, you talk about some reversal of roles. Grundy does a great job getting position inside. Chris Duhon really didn't do a good job blocking him out. But there's Jordan Collins at 6'10" with his foot on the three-point line shooting, and Anthony Grundy gets it and scores on the inside on the rebound. Those roles ought to be reversed a little bit.
But with Grundy, he's their leading rebounder. He leads them in all categories. And of course, their leading scorer.
Well, again, you take the offense and you spread everybody out, and that gives a guy like Grundy lots of room to maneuver, whether it be on the inside or the outside. And Collins, not a bad thing that he's out there, but I don't know that Herb wants him shooting the ball from that spot.
Grundy hits the three-point play, has 7 for the game, so the Wolfpack score 3 unanswered. They trail by 11. Welcome back to Charlotte, host city for the 11th time of this ACC tournament and the championship game, led by Duke, 21-10. 11:21 left to go in this first half. Steve Martin here, along with Dan Bonner, Mike Hogwood, and Joe McGregor. Coach Mike Krzyzewski likes what he sees of his team so far. They've executed. NC State has taken their best shot. Let's see if they can come back. Herb Sendek working his team hard, has Marcus Melvin back on the floor. Clifford Crawford, Anthony Grundy, Scooter Sherrill, and Jordan Collins. Carlos Boozer returns, along with Daniel Ewing, Chris Duhon, Mike Dunleavy, and Jason Williams.
Well, if Herb Sendek has a power lineup, this is it, with Collins and Melvin in the game at the same time.
And he's got some fairly decent defensive coverage with Clifford Crawford on Jason Williams. Back to Dunleavy. Tight man-to-man for the Wolfpack now. Williams a reset. Shot clock works its way down to 10 as he picks up the dribble. Boozer looking. Ooh, Crawford going to stab him from behind, but they're going to call him for a foul. Mike Wood was there to call Clifford Crawford for the reach-in.
And Crawford did smack him.
Yep.
One of the things that you'll find, whether it's on the outside or the inside, when a big guy has the ball, if he dribbles it, the guard can come and get it. And Crawford is just too late. He clearly gets Boozer across the elbow.
Good
if
idea.
he'd have gotten there while he was dribbling the ball, he has a chance to steal it. Once the guy has it, they're not going to get it away from him.
Duhon drives the baseline, and now all 5 Duke starters are in the scoreboard. 23-10.
And another layup, Steve.
Yep. And a bunch of them. I guess they didn't get enough out of their layup for the beginning.
Well, and that's just demoralizing for a defense when the other guys are scoring such easy baskets.
Grundy rubs off his man, takes a 3. Melvin chases down. Oh, and trying to throw it off Ewing and out of bounds. Missed everything. Right into the hands of Dunleavy, but Crawford is there to cover the bet. Long court pass. Melvin breaks out. Dunleavy to defend, and a foul coming up on Duke. It's going to be on Dunleavy.
Anthony Grundy has certainly been the one bright spot thus far for the NC State offense. He's got 7 of the Wolfpack's 10 points, and it's been typical Anthony Grundy fashion. That was the first NC State basket of the game. Driving to the goal, and then hits the tough shot, and then goes inside and gets a rebound. Anthony Grundy at his best.
Marcus Melvin has made the first of a 2-shot foul. Melvin, part of the high drama here yesterday, missed a couple of key foul shots in the closing moments to keep it close. Dante Jones is back in. Josh Powell getting his first tour of duty this afternoon as Jordan Collins goes out now for NC State. Melvin on for a pair.
NC State starters all averaging more than 30 minutes a game for the 2 games so far in this tournament. And so Herb Sendek trying to do 2 things, trying to find the combination that'll work and trying to get his guys a blow early.
Yeah, you tighten the rotation come tournament time. Of course, for Duke, their rotation's been tight all season long. They play 7 guys, that's it. Into the lane, Boozer, and Boozer scores. He's got 9.
Boozer is just so good around the basket. You know, he's got such great hands, and usually when he gets the ball down inside, he doesn't panic. He just takes his time, takes what's made available, and usually converts.
Last 8 regular season games, shooting 81% at 2 30-point outputs. Points in the paint, and Clifford Crawford tries to get one there.
Now we're talking about Carlos Boozer and the kind of activity. Watch Boozer down here on the inside. Now he's going to actually draw a double team as he catches the ball in this area right here. But watch as Boozer just takes his time in there, uses his body very effectively to pin Melvin in front of him. And then as the drive goes to the basket, Melvin goes to help. He catches the ball. Despite the fact that 2 guys come to help, he knocks it in the basket. A good controlled play by Carlos Boozer.
Crawford gets the first free throw. It's up for the second, and it is good as well. So 4 straight hits from the foul line, keeping NC State within reach, down 11. Archie Miller and Julian Eftimov looking to get back into this.
NC State now back into the zone, and they have got to do something to cut down on the penetration. On that replay we just showed you, the damage that Duke penetration can do, even if the guys aren't going to score on the penetration, they're going to pass it for a score.
Tried to penetrate with Jones that time. Good coverage by Crawford, who is probably their best defensive specialist, best defensive guard. Williams to the dotted line, to the baseline for Wolf for Jones, and he scored.
That was a good defensive sequence by North Carolina State. Just goes to show you what a great offensive team the Duke Blue Devils are capable of being. hit a tough shot with 4 seconds left on the clock.
If you're NC State, you want the ball in the hands of Dante Jones with the shot clock winding down as opposed to Jason Williams.
Well, there's no question about that, but nice ball movement by Duke to create an open opportunity.
Josh Powell.
And what North Carolina State has to do on offense is get some open opportunity.
And they can't turn the ball over like this. Into 2 points by Mike Dunleavy, his 4th point of the game, and the Blue Devils stretch out to a 15-point lead. Their biggest of the afternoon.
Steve, Duke came out here and just rocked NC State back on their heels to start the game, and the Wolfpack have simply never recovered.
Out up the top. Marcus Melvin takes it into the lane, drops baseline. Scooter Sherrill had his shot blocked. Here comes Duhon.
Duke is really doing a nice job defending and helping out, particularly. It's the help defense that's been so impressive. That's where NC State gets you. They're not shooting the ball well at the moment because Duke is doing such a good job with their help defense preventing those extra 1 or 2 passes that have been resulting in the open shots for the Wolfpack.
NC State shot 65% of the second half of their win over Maryland. We got a foul on the court and a timeout as well. A foul against NC State. And Duke will have the ball when we come back. Mike Dunleavy in the open court on the NC State turnover. Wolfpack down by 15.
And welcome back to the Charlotte Coliseum, the 49th ACC Championship. We've got 2 of the greats from North Carolina State, 2 of the great players, David Thompson, Tommy Burleson, of one of the great teams, the 1974 National Championship team. Right now with the score almost doubled by Duke, things not going quite as well for NC State. But what do you think about this tournament and your memories here, David?
Well, the tournament's great. I always think about 73 and 74 when we played Maryland in the finals, and the great game, the overtime game in 74, in which Burleson had an unbelievable game.
Tommy, you talk about having an unbelievable game. I guess State could use your inside presence today against Boozer.
Well, Boozer's an excellent player inside, and we've not been able to get the ball inside to get him in foul trouble. I don't think that he has a backup off the bench that's nearly as good as he is, and I think he's the premier center in the league. If we don't get him in foul trouble, we're going to be in trouble because he's going to wear us out inside.
Steve, you talk about one of the premier centers in the league. We talked to one of the greatest players to ever put on sneakers, David Thompson.
Probably one of the more defining, the player who most defines ACC basketball is David Thompson. Tommy Burleson with 38 points in that point. Many feel is the greatest game ever played in ACC tournament play.
And there's some inside points. North Carolina State now 5 for 20 shooting the ball. This from a team that comes into the game shooting 60% in the tournament. We talked about NC State and needing to score points, averaging 89 points a game in the tournament at the moment on a 46-point pace, and that won't get it done against Duke.
Couple of stops for the Wolfpack. They break out 3-on-3. Clifford Crawford hurried the shot.
And there have been a couple of hurried shots for the Wolfpack.
Jason Williams tees a 3-ball up and misses badly. It's going to be NC State ball. You talked about the way that Duke plays. Sometimes they'll bring you back in with the way that they'll turn the ball over.
Well, this is one of those hurried kind of shots. He sees an opening, and he just does not finish the play. He's in too big a hurry right there to go and make the play. That was, you've got to be able to recognize when you have a good opportunity and when you don't. And when you don't, particularly when you're struggling to score points, you pull the ball back out. Just because it's a layup doesn't make it an easy shot.
Herb Sendek changes out his backcourt. Sherrill and Crawford sit down. Miller and Grundy back in. Miller finds Powell, who scores. Powell's had a quiet tournament for the Wolfpack, but he scored the first 2 baskets since the timeout. 29-18. Duke in the lead by 11. Here's Williams. Nice diagonal pass from Dunleavy, and the basket by Boozer will count. His 11th point and a foul to boot on NC State.
What creates that entire play is the pass by Mike Dunleavy. That pass from midcourt to streaking Jason Williams really creates the opportunity for Carlos Boozer. Archie Miller took a risk and came up and tried to steal the ball, didn't get there in time, and Dunleavy made him pay for it. Got it to Williams, who got it to Boozer.
Boozer on the free throw line for the 3-point play. And he misses, and the rebound comes to Josh Powell. Powell has started the first 2 games that NC State has played in this tournament. As you look at the points in the paint, still heavily in favor of Duke. Miller to drive, and he will score. Smallest player on the floor gets one for NC State.
That's a pretty good move by Duke to not go after him, because Archie, I don't think, is looking to score when he goes in there. He's looking to drive the ball and find somebody.
Jones Works the baseline. Powell shuts it off. NC State extending their defense to full court.
Well, they've made it a scramble right at the moment, and I think when you're trying to create some situations to come back in the game, a scrambling type of game is better.
Scrambles back to Duke. Duhan finds Jones. He'll attack. He walked. You're right. Mike Wood saw it too. And the Blue Devils will turn it over.
This is Julius Hodge battling inside against Carlos Boozer. You'd almost call that hand-to-hand.
Who do you think will win that matchup?
I think Boozer wins it most of the time. You got to dribble the ball there, Dante.
Here's Anthony Grundy back on the floor. He'll bring it back deep. Duhan to pursue. Now they got Jones matched up on Miller, and a switch. Eftimov down the lane, and Hodge will score on the trail.
Now it's really a challenge for NC State. You want to create that frantic pace on defense, but you want to be a little bit calmer on offense.
Wolfpack on an 8-2 run, Dan. 31-22. Duke in the lead by 9. Duhan top of the floor. Williams gets inside. Ball picked away by Grundy and Powell.
Eftimov, this is a very difficult shot by Eftimov. Well defended by Duke, but nobody blocks out Hodge.
Hodge, who had probably the biggest shot of his life yesterday with the shot clock winding down and the game's closing minutes, hit that three-pointer against Maryland. Made it 84-80, and that was a margin that Maryland could not recover from. Ball lost in the corner. Duhan has it, and he'll call timeout. So a wise move by Duhan on his knees. He makes one move. It's loss of possession. So we've got a 30-second timeout taken by Duke. You know, there's nothing like college basketball. This ACC tournament proves it. And if you're celebrating the win, we'll do it right. The way you celebrate, of course, says a lot about you, and it certainly reflects on your school. So be responsible. Take care of yourself and your friends. Sellout crowd here at the Charlotte Coliseum, 23,698, and they've enjoyed a great tournament that started in overtime on Thursday. And of course, Clemson losing in overtime to Florida State. And as far as most matchups in this tournament, well, we're talking about one of the most storied matchups of all time, Duke and NC State in 20 games in this tournament. However, they've only met in the final, which is unconscionable to me, just 4 times, the 4th being today. NC State, by the way, won 2 of the first 3, 55 and 56, and Duke came back in 1966.
Well, the energy level for the Wolfpack has suddenly gone up, and as I say, it's demoralizing for NC State when Duke is scoring all those easy baskets, and now NC State has been able to create a little bit more frantic tempo. Duke has missed a couple of shots. NC State's done a better job keeping Duke away from the easy basket. They've got to keep that up. They've got to keep this tempo, particularly on the defensive end. Keep Duke in a hurry-up mode.
Still in that zone. Duhan surveys it. Boozer out of the ball game now. Horvath is in.
Well, the zone was ineffective early.
Here comes Duhan from the corner for 3, and Miller boards the miss. NC State has got Duke stuck on 31. 8-2 run in the last minute 45.
That's a good job by Miller to look for the opening. It wasn't there. Now you set what you want to try to do.
Hodge now out to Miller. Now NC State can start thinking about their offense. And Jason Williams is caught for trying to stop Grundy from cutting across the lane.
You run that offense where you create an awful lot of space, and Grundy just gets tangled up there as he tries to come off the screen, and that occurs right in front of the official.
And doing in, Dante Jones out. Inbounds pass comes to Miller for 3.
He does not need much space. A very quick release, and suddenly NC State has crawled back in this thing.
Look out. Here come the Wolfpack. Down by 6, crowd on their feet. And Eftimov commits the foul as trying to get around it was Mike Dunleavy. And we've got a timeout here on the court. 3:52 left to go. Herb Sendek a lot happier about the way things are going. His Wolfpack trail the Blue Devils by 6. Well, Herb Sendek knew early on in his coaching career at NC State all about the ACC Championship. Wolfpack reached the finals in his first season, winning 4 straight games, including a win over the #1 seed, Duke, on their way to playing North Carolina in the finals. Sendek's dream tournament, though, did not have a happy ending as the Tar Heels beat the Wolfpack in the title game 64-54. But oh, the personalities in that first appearance. And here Herb Sendek and his Wolfpack are back again in the ACC Championship game.
And there you get a look at why NC State is back in the game. They started very, very slowly, and that 6 of 10, that's right on the numbers that they've been shooting for the entire tournament.
They were down by 15 at one point, 29-14. Now they have pulled within 6 inside. Carlos Boozer back on the scene, and you know what he does.
And that's where Duke started, and that is a great job by the Duke Blue Devils. That sort of breaks the back of the run. Boozer now 6 of 7.
Here's Archie Miller for 3. Julius Hodge towards the miss. Grundy for 3 from the wing. He's got it.
If you're going to give up that many twos inside to Carlos Boozer, you better start making some threes down on the other end.
33-28. Wolfpack stays within sight. Williams into front court. Daniel Ewing. Nice feed to Dunleavy. The reverse works. And we've got a little altercation on the end line with Dunleavy and Julius Hodge.
Of course, Julius Hodge, no stranger to altercations in the ACC this year. But this is a nice job by Duke handling the pressure, and Hodge commits one of those fouls that coaches just hate. If you're going to block the shot, try to block it. If not, just get out of the way. Don't give the referee the opportunity to blow the whistle right there.
Stay where you are. Take straight in there.
Dunleavy for the tournament against NC State in 2 games, 19.5 points and 8.5 rebounds. He gets the three-point play, has 7 on the afternoon, and Duke opens up an 8-point lead. 3 minutes left in this first half. Into the middle, Eftimov. Oh! And the ball knocked out of bounds by Carlos Boozer, but a foul on Boozer from behind.
And North Carolina State is not really a team, Steve, that relies on throwing the ball to guys inside. And so they're going to have a tough time getting Carlos Boozer in foul trouble. But on that occasion, a good catch by Eftimov on a backdoor cut.
I want to remind you this broadcast is a copyrighted presentation, and any use of it without the express permission of Raycom, Jefferson Pilot Sports, and the ACC is prohibited. Ilya Eftimov, whose parents live in Paris, and he is from Bulgaria. Of course, his father and his brother still playing professional ball over in Europe. This is the free throw.
His father must be some well-preserved athlete. He's got a kid out of college, kid in college, and he's still playing.
Eftimov 1 out of 2. Of course, his brother Vasco played for the University of North Carolina.
Or is he playing in the over 45 league?
That I do not know. Ewing down on the baseline. Crack, skip to Dunleavy for 3. That's his first triple of the day.
Right, you cannot defend that if you're NC State. You're in the scramble mode. You're trying to get Duke to move the ball quickly, maybe turn it over, maybe shoot it quickly. There's no way you can defend that if you're going to try to trap. If Duke beats the trap, Dunleavy's going to get that shot. You have to hope he misses.
Eftimov, nice spin. Now he's out of room. Almost made it work. Dunleavy picks it up.
He was looking for the foul.
Duhon.
A bit fancier.
Yeah, it was. Williams 3 doesn't go. Ewing tipped the ball right into the hands of Grundy. Grundy to Melvin. Melvin down to the post. It's Crawford. Blocked by Dunleavy. Under 2 to play and a foul in the open court on Grundy to stop the fast break opportunity for Jason Williams.
Boy, this is not a good decision by Scooter Sherrill. Sherrill gets the ball inside, and he's surrounded by Duke Blue Devils, and NC State had guys on the outside. He could have kicked it back for a 3. Dunleavy just does such a great job getting in shooting position as he catches the ball. That shot's almost gone as he's catching it.
You know, I was wondering why Melvin, who has shot very well from three-point land, gave up the three-pointer to put Crawford in such a bad position underneath.
But see, Crawford has to recognize that. Melvin's doing a nice job. You make that pass inside, the defense collapses, and that means not only is Melvin open, but also Archie Miller's open from 3. Crawford's got to be the guy who sees that and pitch it back out.
That's right. Williams gets 2. He's got 10 for the game. 3 double-figure scores for the Blue Devils now, who have opened up a 12-point lead after the Wolfpack got to within 5.
So there's another one of those runs we're talking about.
Here's Archie Miller for 3. Rubbed off his defender and quickly watched as he recovered. Took the three-pointer.
NC State is not a great offensive rebounder team, so when they shoot, they've got to shoot a pretty good percentage. That gives Duke the opportunity to get out and run.
They haven't had to worry about rebounding in this tournament so far, shooting over 50% for the 2 games they've played. Dunleavy for 3 more.
Well, I'll tell you, when he catches that ball in rhythm, you may as well just mark it up.
Just start walking up the other end, right. He was 6 of 15 in this tournament coming in. But he's heated it up here this afternoon. Duke now 4 out of 12 3-point land. Williams and Dunleavy have accounted for all 4.
NC State 24 of 45 3-point range in the 2 games coming into this tournament.
They were on fire yesterday, 15 and 31. Here's a pass down low, deflected by Duhan, picked up by Ewing. Eftimov hits the net.
Archie Miller made a mistake you don't often see him make. If you stand there and hold the ball over your head and try to pass it from that position where Williams drives and scores.
What a finish by Williams. 46-29, and it's a kick to the end here by the Duke Blue Devils.
Boy, a big run to start the game, a big run to end the half. Really has NC State in a bind.
Marcus Melvin out around the top. Eftimov now shot clock and game clock about 6 seconds away from each other. Grundy for 3 more. Anthony Grundy.
Boy, Grundy
stayed in.
He's doing everything he can.
They're still down by 14 with 13 seconds left to play. Grundy leads the Wolfpack with 13 points.
And that stopped a 10-0 Duke run.
Back to the wing. Ewing attacks. Boozer has it stripped. Here comes Clifford Crawford, and he gets fouled.
But that will be a foul called before the shot, but I think that's the 17th foul, so they'll get a 1-on-1 opportunity.
And with very little time left on the clock, so Wolfpack will get last say here.
I would say it's very little time, 0.1. This Boozer has handled the ball very well all day long, but there Jason Williams just gets his hand out, and I think that's what the official saw, is Williams with both hands on the wrist of Clifford Crawford. You can't have less time than 0.1.
No, you can't. But you know what the interesting thing is? If they call him foul in the act of shooting, it's a 3-point shot.
I think Mike Krzyzewski would have come out after if they did that.
1-1 in the miss. Time runs out, and our first half is over. And the Duke Blue Devils, on the strength of a 10-2 run, head to the locker room in the lead in this championship game. They're up 46-32 here at the Charlotte Coliseum. Halftime of the ACC Championship in the 49th renewal of this tournament. Mike Hogwood has halftime festivities next. And we see the ACC Championship game here at halftime. Second-seeded Duke Blue Devils 46, the fourth-seeded NC State Wolfpack 32. We've talked about matchups, Star Wars. Eftimov had a great tournament leading up to this. 13.5 points coming into this game. But of course, you look at Boozer and he's outflanking him, and the same is happening in that Dunleavy-Melvin matchup.
What we talked about was Duke maximizing those matchups. I really felt like to win this game, they had to dominate at least 2, and they are dominating those 2 matchups in particular. North Carolina State is going to have to find a way to keep Duke away from the basket and then get some easy baskets themselves. And the Wolfpack starts the second half in a man-to-man.
Here's Dunleavy out top. 6 of the first 7 Duke baskets in this game. Layups. Williams backs out. Hodge watching him. Dunleavy checked by Melvin, but gets a step on him. Still can't make the shot, and Hodge beats Boozer to the spot to get the ball.
That was a tough shot by Dunleavy.
Hodge.
And that is not a good shot by Julius Hodge.
He'll try to trail it, and does on the 3rd attempt.
Now he hangs with it very, very well, but that is not the kind of shot that North Carolina State needs to get back in the game. They need to make Duke work a little bit on the defensive end.
Mike Dunleavy getting ready to come into front court now. 46-34. Duke's biggest lead was 17. You see Julius Hodge slap the court. Where does he get that from? Boozer inside.
And that is a matchup that's going to be very difficult for North Carolina State. They came out in that matchup zone, and I think one of the reasons was they were really afraid of their ability to handle Boozer inside. Eftimov simply not tall enough and strong enough to keep Boozer from doing whatever Boozer wants to do. Got to move your feet a little bit better than that. Make Boozer turn back to the middle, not to the baseline.
3-point play for Boozer, has 16. Blue Devils are out in front by 15 again. Double-digit stiff arm working for most of this ball game so far. NC State made a run, got it down to 5. 33-28 at one point.
Well, you're not going to do it all at once, so you have to try to find good opportunities.
Hodge has his shot spanked, but it's going to be goaltending on Dante Jones, getting it on the way down. Julius Hodge with 9. And Hodge
That's
now
a nice job. Hodge sort of playing the Grundy role here. He gets the ball down inside, is matching up and posting up.
Quickly in transition, Williams double dribbles. And the Wolfpack get a score and force a turnover at the other end. This is how they got back into it in the first half.
You're going to come back into the game gradually. And so you try to get it back to 12 or so, and then, you know, maybe Duke scores, they take it back up, and then you get it back to 8. And you're not going to get it all back at once, and so you need to just keep chipping away.
Wake Forest was a study in patience yesterday. Skip Prosser's team boiled their way back from a big deficit early and made a game of it. There's a stop by the Blue Devils. Here comes Jones, and he is tied up and fouled by Archie Miller. We looked at the keys to this contest, and let's see how true each team has been to them.
One of the things we said for NC State is they had to score, and we thought 85 to 89 points was the range. They only had 32 points at halftime, and then they had to minimize the runs. You can see they didn't do it. Duke with a couple of big runs in the first half. For the Blue Devils, concentrate on inside the arc. Boy, they sure did that in the first half. And then we talked about those matchups. Boozer dominating the Eftimov matchup, Dudley dominating the Melvin matchup.
Dante Jones heads to the free throw line in the act of shooting the foul on Archie Miller. Second team foul on the Wolfpack.
And I think that we have played more than a minute and a half in the second half. Anthony Grundy hadn't touched the ball yet. And I think Julius Hodge has come out with a lot of energy and a lot of emotion. But he's taken 5 shots already in the second half as Hodge. I think I want Grundy to handle it a little bit.
Jones, transfer from Rutgers, connects. 8 points for Dante Jones here, and it's a 15-point Duke lead. Championship game of this 49th ACC tournament. Archie Miller out along the perimeter.
Man-to-man defense for the Blue Devils. They're really doing a nice job getting out on the perimeter guys without giving up the easy backdoor opportunities.
Eftimov turns on Boozer. He's still looking for his first field goal. Duhan has the miss.
Eftimov's a key guy, averaging 13.5 points a game in the 2 previous games in the tournament.
Boozer, nice kick out to Williams for 3. And it rolls around the equipment and falls through. His 3rd triple of the game. He has 15 for the afternoon. And now Duke has opened up their biggest lead of the day.
And Duke can demoralize you in a lot of ways. It's demoralizing when they're shooting all layups, but nothing is more demoralizing than when it starts raining threes.
That is the 5th three-pointer for Duke. Eftimov looking for a cutter, and that's pretty much what's happened to NC State's offense today. Everybody's waiting for something else to happen.
NC State's offense not operating nearly with the smoothness that we've seen in the previous 2 days.
Grundy tries to force his way in. Nice block by Jones. Ball lost out of bounds. Wolfpack will maintain possession. Went off the head of a Duke player, but look at Grundy's struggle.
And Grundy does a nice job getting on the inside, and this is the kind of play you expect Grundy to make.
Archie Miller comes back and scores the triple at the other end. And the Wolfpack now clawing back. They got back in the first half with 3-point baskets. Archie Miller getting that one. Duhan.
If they're going to win the game, they're going to have to make a high percentage of their threes.
Williams, shot fake, gets a 2 off. 17 points for Jason Williams, who's coming up big in this championship game for the Blue Devils. 56-39. Hodge the kick across to Grundy. His 3 off mark. Boozer tips the rebound. Wolfpack fans want a foul.
Boozer and Eftimov just got tied. Now Eftimov is really trying to be physical with Boozer.
Here's Williams for 3. And a foul on Marcus Melvin. Over the back of Carlos Boozer. 3rd team foul against State.
You forget sometimes how big Boozer is. well over 260 pounds. He just does a great job in there. He's got 3 guys on his back, and Melvin is the guy who comes over the back. Eftimov is going to the bench, and Eftimov is really frustrated for North Carolina State. He can't get anything going on offense, and Boozer is just killing him when he's trying to guard Boozer.
Josh Powell is in the ball game now. And Anthony Grundy is off, and Scooter Sherrill is on there. And the ball passed out of bounds by Williams.
Over here.
Tried to pass it along the end line. NC State had all the options covered, and Duhan was just an angle too far away.
Well, unfortunately for Williams, he did pass it along the end line. You're not allowed to do that. You have to pass it on the court side of the end line.
Miller off to Hodge. 4 minutes gone this second half, and a turnover for the Wolfpack. So they couldn't live with prosperity that time around.
You know, Marcus Melvin has had an outstanding ACC tournament, but he looks a little tired to me. He just looks a little like he just doesn't have the normal bounce in his step, and he's averaged 34 minutes a game in the 2 previous games.
But there's this problem with Mike Dunleavy inside. And Boozer is fouled as he went up. Josh Powell, I think, is going to get the call here.
See, you're really betwixt and between if you're NC State trying to match up man-to-man against Duke. Do you use a guy like Eftimov, who's a little bit stronger, but not quite as tall, who Boozer can still dominate strength-wise, or do you use a guy like a Josh Powell, who is much more athletic in terms of his ability to jump and run, but Boozer just slips right by him?
Boozer on the free throw line. He has 17. He and Jason Williams stand together at the head of the Duke scoring list this afternoon.
Boy, Boozer's really been a big factor. Boozer helped him get going with those early, easy baskets on the inside. Boozer seems to be the guy out here that NC State simply can't defend.
Hodge into front court. Nice pass to Powell, but he wasn't looking at it. Lead pass to Williams for the fast break hoop. And it turns to disaster for NC State. 57-39. The Blue Devils have got it out and running.
Steve, my high school basketball coach once told me it's never a good pass if the guy you throw it to doesn't catch it.
20-point lead and a travel by Sherrill as he got stuck in the traffic in the middle. The Duke Blue Devils with a timeout here, lead by 20 in the championship game.
Duke University enjoying a 20-point lead over North Carolina State, due in large part because of the parents of who will probably be the National Player of the Year. I'm with David and Althea Williams. Tell me what it's like to watch your little boy turn it on like that on the court.
It makes you extremely proud and just so grateful that God has given us and given Jason this opportunity to be successful.
David, I understand that although he's probably going to be an outstanding pro, that he may be a doctor when they already accepted to med school.
Well, I don't know if he'll be a doctor, but he has been offered a conditional acceptance in the med school if he decides he wants to do that.
You guys sure should be proud. You got all the reason to be. Steve, I wish my son could turn out to be like Jason Williams.
He's got all the options right now. Jason Williams, 19 points, having a great championship game.
Well, I don't know whether he's going to be a doctor or not, but he's been performing surgery this afternoon so far.
NC State now extending the court, and they're down by 20. They've got to do something to stop this Duke rhythm. Here comes Jason Williams to Dunleavy. Dante Jones back to the top to Duhan, and they'll recycle. 5 minutes gone, and Duke has made a very definitive statement offensively to start the second half.
Boy, Boozer just works so hard on the inside. He does such a great job getting position.
He's got the ball in the low post. Powell's got his hands full. He'll turn and hook and hit.
Just too much power in there. And Boozer did such a great job. He caught the ball, held it above his head while the NC State guys waited for him to dribble. And then instead of going to him, they gradually go back to their guys, and he sees the opening, and then he dribbles. NC State can't get to him. He scores the easy basket.
61-39. Powell looking for room underneath, and again, Boozer just denies him real estate.
Boozer is going to catch the ball down on the inside, and he waits. Now the NC State defenders run away from him, and by the time they come down, after he's dribbled the ball, he has it up in shooting position. That's just really a fine play on the inside.
Anthony Grundy comes back in for Archie Miller. Feed the post again. Powell, and here's Dunleavy to try to scratch it out. And there's Julius Hodge with a nice cut to the rack. He's got 11.
You know, Gil McGregor interviewed Tom Burleson before, and Tom Burleson talked about how it would be good if NC State could get Boozer in foul trouble, but that's not the way NC State plays. Their Duhon is fouled.
Let's watch this and see how Dunleavy almost foils this play.
Now, Dunleavy does a great job getting his hand on the basketball. It's not often you see a guy make that play, you know, knock the ball. Usually he gets somebody across the arms, but then Dunleavy, since he didn't get the steal, couldn't get back to Julius Hodge in time.
Powell commits the foul. That's his third as Duhon goes to the line.
You know, NC State is not a post-up team.
No.
You don't have a guy who can post up inside, and you don't have a guy who's doing a lot of driving to the basket, forcing Carlos Boozer to come over and help. Boozer really not in a lot of foul situations today.
They're mostly operating out of the high post, and most of this tournament they've only had on most of their offensive sets only one man below the foul line, and he's on the wing.
Well, it has been a very successful offensive set for North Carolina State the entire season. I think it makes the best use of their personnel because they really don't have a power guy inside, but they don't spend a lot of time in the lane. In fact, I would be surprised if NC State has had one 3-second violation called against them this year.
And they've only enticed one foul over Carlos Boozer here today. Got a whistle and a foul this time, and who's it on? It's going to be against
Duke.
Dante Jones, I think. Is that Jones? Yes, that's 2. Yeah. That was pretty safe.
Yeah, I always like to get the facts straight.
First team foul on the Blue Devils here in the second half. And what anticipation by Duhon to steal the inbounds. Jones to finish and a foul on Eftimov. Players wisely stay away from each other. Eftimov with the foul.
That play just took too long to develop. Everybody knew where the ball was going. Eftimov is going to come in, and he's going to get called for an intentional foul. The officials ruling that the severity of the contact was such.
And I think
It would be an intentional foul.
our cameraman Gary Parsons went down for the second time this tournament, and he'll come out and take a shot after Dante Jones is done. Look at the target on his chest. Gary, of course, our longtime cameraman, and this summer or this fall during football season, he got hit a couple of times too. These guys don't have pads on them. So Jones makes them both. Has 10 points for the game. 65-41. Now the Devils pulling away.
The fans don't like the call, but that's a judgment call by the official if there's excessive force used in a play like that, and that was specifically why that part of the rule was put in. If there's excessive force on a play like that, the referees have the option of calling it an intentional foul.
Boozer goes up reverse on the zone. How efficient has he been? 21 points for Carlos Boozer, 67-41. He's 9 of 10.
That's pretty efficient.
I'd say so. Powell in the post, and he gets the foul on Boozer.
And there's what we're talking about. North Carolina State with a post-up move that time. 2 fouls now against Boozer, but you notice that Duke isn't helping out Carlos Boozer when NC State throws the ball inside. Duke's so concerned about the Wolfpack's ability to shoot the 3. Boozer's on his own in there, and Josh Powell doing a nice job picking up the foul.
Josh Powell has had a pretty good championship game, but having a great championship game is Carlos Boozer. Start to line up votes for our all-tournament team and the Everett Case Award, which is up for grabs. Several candidates on the floor here today. Powell misses first. Powell is a freshman from Riverdale, Georgia. And on the afternoon, there you see what he's done.
Powell's a young man that started the season very effectively, had some outstanding games in the non-conference portion of the schedule, but the physical nature of the inside play in the ACC, I think, revealed to Josh Powell that he needs to put on a few pounds of muscle.
Plus the advancement of Ilyan Eftimov took some playing time away from Powell. Played virtually the same position in that attack. Williams tripped out front by Hodge. What display by Williams, and he calls timeout. Something reminiscent of the Globetrotters with what Williams was trying to do, steady the ball. We've got a timeout on the court.
He's got options, Dr. Hood or
entertainment.
The Globetrotters, yeah.
All of it is there. Timeout on the court. We'll be right back.
No small part of the Duke offense. Carlos Boozer has done a great job on the inside, and he has done it in a variety of ways, using power when appropriate, using a little quick step when appropriate, some nice moves using the basket to protect. Boozer also has 4 points, 4 steals, 3 assists in today's game to go along with his 21 points.
And 9 out of 10 from the floor. The most efficient player on the afternoon. And a rotisserie star, as you would say. Potting up stats in every category. Mike Dunleavy gets a good look at it.
And Dunleavy's had a solid game, too.
15 points.
And what he's done is he has been very patient, has found open shots, and has made them.
Anthony Grundy struggles out front. Picks up the loose ball.
And, of course, Grundy has not been near the factor today that he has been in the previous 2 games here in Charlotte.
Here comes Evdomov with an easy basket down the lane. Everything opened up for Evdomov, his first basket from the field this afternoon. Pack now trying to claw their way back. They're down a bundle here in the second half. Anthony Grundy has not scored in the second half.
Grundy scored 7 of the first 10 points, but he has struggled since then. He's got 10 points total.
Field goal damage here in the second half. Duke continuing to do well. And a foul coming up.
Well, we just showed you the Duke shooting percentage, and one of the reasons you shoot the ball well is you have open shots. Now, what you want to do is, here's Mike Dunleavy here, and he's going to be the guy who ends up with the shot. But as you watch this play, watch Elian Evdomov and watch what happens to him on the play. He's going to get caught in traffic. Dunleavy does a nice job crossing. Evdomov never really catches up to him. He got picked off running through the lane, and Dunleavy had just enough of an open space to drill that jump shot.
And Elian Evdomov will have to come off the floor with his 4th personal after he gets his first basket of the day. Evdomov was in foul trouble a little bit yesterday, but he's got his 4th. And Williams going to the free throw line to try to get his 20th or 21st point of the day. And he does just that. So he ties Boozer with the scoring lead at 21 and comes off the floor in favor of Daniel Ewing.
Now keep in mind that Williams yesterday limped off at the end of the game with a hip problem, and we certainly haven't seen any indication of that today, but Mike Krzyzewski certainly doesn't want Jason Williams to be injured.
Duke assistant Chris Collins said a little slight groin pull as well. And Melvin tries the 3, uses all the equipment. That's his first of the day. 71-47. Duke out in front big.
Melvin was 5 for 9 from 3-point range before today in the tournament, and so Duke has done a nice job defensively preventing the shooters from NC State from getting shots. Melvin only 1 of 3 on the day.
State trying for the steal. Ewing, nice flying pass, and turns disaster into opportunity.
Now, can you get an assist for yourself? Boozer that time ought to get an assist because that was a turnover, and he did a great job tipping the ball away so they could get it and give it back to him.
73-47 Duke. A tour de force by the Blue Devils. Inside, here's Josh Powell. Great drop step into a basket. His 7th point of the day.
Again, Duke giving Boozer no help on the inside. But you're at a point now, if you're the North Carolina State Wolfpack, unless you're going to generate an awful lot of turnovers, it's going to be hard for you to get back in this game with 2s.
There's 1 turnover. Hodge generated this one. Grundy passes along to Sherrill for 3. And Ewing and Hodge battle, and it's going to be Hodge knocking it out of bounds. We got a timeout on the court. The NC State bench has a lot of work to do here. They're down by a bundle to Duke in the championship game. 13 years of Miss Reynolds. And of course, Coach Mike Krzyzewski's reached back into history as Ronnie Shavlik's grandson, Shavlik Randolph, has an early commitment to this program. Here's Duke. Randolph, of course, goes to Broughton High School in Raleigh. Here is Williams with the drive through the lane. And a foul coming up on Anthony. No, it's an offensive foul on Jason Williams.
Even if you're a guy with the talent and the quickness of Jason Williams, it's hard to start a move 35 feet from the basket and take it all the way to the goal without somebody stepping in and trying to draw the charge.
That time Grundy was the man to do it. Near the midway point of the second half in this ACC Championship game. Marcus Melvin heads down the lane and tries to finish, but Dunleavy will pick up a miss.
Duke has done a nice job contesting everything that North Carolina State has tried to do.
Made State's shots very difficult down on the baseline.
One of the reasons that North Carolina State shot such a high percentage in the earlier games in this tournament was they were able, through their ball movement and movement of the players, to create open shot opportunities, and they just haven't been that many for the Wolfpack today.
Dunleavy for three.
Yeah, but when he's had open shots, he has been automatic today.
18 points, his third triple of the day. And Dunleavy in three-point field goals this afternoon is 3 for 5.
And it has been a rather quiet 18 points, if that's possible.
And a foul out front. Foul is going to be charged to Chris Duhon.
And the interesting thing about Dunleavy today, he has not spent a lot of time with the ball in his hands. That's just a nice example of moving without the ball. And he really didn't go off 2 or 3 screens. It was just one screen. NC State not really doing a very good job pursuing Dunleavy. But again, you've got Boozer down inside. The guys are concerned about what Boozer's done, and so Dunleavy gets open.
Great game in the SEC Championship matchup today between Mississippi State and Alabama in the second half. Got a whistle and a double dribble call against NC State. So the wheels have fallen off here for the Wolfpack.
Looks like Grundy lost a contact lens.
Just taking a look at it. I'm glad I don't have contacts. that somehow athletic events and contacts, it doesn't go well with me. Boozer up front, and Duke just continues to cruise ahead, looking for their 4th straight ACC championship.
Duke has made 9 of 11 second half field goals.
What you can answer to that?
Well, I mean, you're going to try to come back in the game, and the other guys are going to make all their shots. It's not really a very good formula.
Like this?
10 of 12.
Melvin on the foul. That's his second. The 18th foul on the Wolfpack, and for Boozer, 25 points. He continues the success he enjoyed, especially in the second matchup with NC State.
It's very obvious as you see Boozer catching the ball on the inside. Again, just behind the defense. The defense is pushing up, and Boozer gets behind it, and they find him. And Williams, of course, he reacts to that because that was a great pass.
The Devils making a statement this afternoon.
And you know, the thing about that pass is if you throw a lob pass in that situation to Boozer, it gives the defense a chance to get back down on him. But that was not a lob pass. He threw it in an open lane. That was a very, very good play by Jason Williams.
Blue Devils have opened up a 30-point lead on the Wolfpack. Melvin down to the baseline. Oh, that pretty much sums up NC State's day.
It does, but even if he makes that basket in that situation, it's a 2, and NC State, Herb Sendek knows, can't get back into the game with 2s. If they can shoot some 3s and get a flurry going here, then they might make the last 8 minutes and 22 seconds interesting. But that's a nice play by Duke. Melvin gets by, nobody fouls him. So what? He scores 2 points, the clock keeps running, you go back down, you play a little bit.
12 left to go in this championship game, and the Duke Blue Devils are cruising on. Here's Dunleavy for 3. And the ball goes helplessly out of bounds. It'll be NC State ball. Nick Horvat checks in. Carlos Boozer going out. Elian Eftimov is in, and Marcus Melvin heads to the sidelines. Dante Jones in for Mike Dunleavy.
See, you miss a 3, you come out of the game.
Look at that. Over the last 91 field goal attempts, 76 have gone in. How do you miss those 15?
Well, they ought to do something about that.
Well, I guess. He had a 13 for 14 day against NC State in the game in Raleigh, or rather in Cameron, on February 14th. Here comes Scooter Sherrill. Score the basket plus the foul.
See, that's exactly what you don't want to do. You don't want to give NC State the chance to score with the clock stop. But so what you're trying to tell me is Carlos Boozer, as we get a look at this last play, nice job, penetration. That's something that the Wolfpack haven't gotten very much of today. But nice job by Crawford to get the ball in there. The happiest guy that NC State upset Maryland was not Herb Sendek, but Carlos Boozer.
Yeah, that's right. Timeout on the court. Duke up big over NC State. Let's take a look at our our chief game summary. Well, Duke up by a bundle, and the big three have come on strong. All ACC first-team members Carlos Boozer, Jason Williams, and Mike Dunleavy have combined for 65 points.
And Anthony Grundy, you see those 13 points, but in the second half, Grundy has not scored. In fact, he's only taken 2 shots. So Duke, a combination of guys, Dante Jones, Chris Duhon, but they're doing a nice job defending Anthony Grundy, and he's over on the bench right now, so he's not a threat to the Blue Devils at the moment.
But the Wolfpack will live on beyond this tournament and go to the NCAA, and they'll find out where they're going sometime this afternoon.
And I think North Carolina State will be a very difficult matchup for an opponent in the NCAA tournament. Somebody that hasn't seen them or played against them or experienced playing against them, the way they spread the court and attack you on offense. Grundy has struggled today, and Grundy simply cannot struggle if NC State's going to be at the top of their game. But I think NC State has the potential to make a nice little run in the NCAA tournament.
Williams with a three-pointer from the wing. Speaking of nice runs in the NCAA tournament, Williams said, "I am greedy. I want to go back and take the national championship again." Of course, this is his last year at Duke. He plans to turn professional his junior season. Clifford Crawford out front. Scooter Sherrill. They were combatants in the state 3A championship a couple of years back in the state of North Carolina. Here's Evtimov, 9 on the shot clock. Tried everything he could to get an open look, and it took Jordan Collins to clean it up inside.
You notice the guy helping down there was Horvath, and that was because Jordan Collins is not a shooter from the outside, but all the guys who were guarding shooters stayed with their men, so Evtimov had the opportunity inside, and Horvath didn't block Collins out, so Collins got the tip.
6 and change left in this one, and that's all that stands in the way of Duke's record-setting 4th straight ACC championship. Chris Duhon is out front with Horvath. Duke content to take some time off the clock. Horvath, 5 on the shot clock. Williams to Horvath inside for the reverse.
And I think one thing, that's a great pass by Williams that this particular tournament emphasizes, and something that you'll see in the NCAA tournament is Crawford lets it go, doesn't get it. Matchups. North Carolina State matches up much better against Maryland than they do against Duke, even though Maryland might match up better against Duke. And so lots of times your success in the NCAA tournament or failure depends upon who you play and how you match up with the team you play. This Duke team, just because of the matchups that we spoke about early in the game, just too much for North Carolina State.
Williams, that feed to Horvath with his 10th assist, so he's got a nice double-double working. Duhon for 3. Horvath for the rebound. And he'll kick it out to the Slidell, Louisiana native. Will hold near midcourt. It's knocked in the backcourt by Sherrill. 84-54, 5 minutes left to play. And Duke has been stout here this afternoon.
And another thing that you've seen from the Duke Blue Devils, they went up 14-4 right away. And then NC State scored, made it 14-7. Then Duke rattled off 7 more points in a row. But from that point, Duke hadn't let up. Duke has just gone ahead, and they've buried the Wolfpack.
Evtimov from outside. He hasn't been even close to taking a three-point shot today and loses the ball on the sideline. Been a tough day for him.
Wolfpack made that one run to cut it down to 5, and then Duke just exploded.
Mike Dunleavy comes in. Williams comes out. Dante Jones is, I think, coming off as well. And Andre Buckner is going to come in as Mike Krzyzewski starts to unload his bench here near the end of this one. You know, we haven't had a close ACC final championship game since 1996. And today will be no different as Duke makes a definitive statement this afternoon. There's Williams playing in his final ACC tournament. Don't know about Boozer yet, but back up in the front court, Dunleavy.
It's a situation where North Carolina State they had to expend, I think, so much energy the last 2 days. They played very, very well. They just didn't have it against the Blue Devil team that, to me, it seems that they've been hitting on all cylinders all day long.
I think a Blue Devil team also that was kind of frustrated by the pace of the play. Here's Horvath with a nice stick back. He's got 4 points. They were frustrated by the pace of the play in the quarterfinals set by the Tar Heels. And then yesterday they get out to a big lead and looked to be putting Wake Forest away. And Wake came back on them.
See, and that's something that Mike Krzyzewski has been looking for in this team. There's the basket inside.
That's Mike Bell.
By Bell. But Mike Krzyzewski wants his team, when they get up, to keep going up, to not just be content with having a big lead. And I'm sure that's something that they discussed after Wake Forest was able to get back in the game. They have not allowed NC State to see any light, particularly in the second half.
Matt Christensen comes in. Duhan comes out to the hug of Coach Mike Krzyzewski. Also coming into the ball game now, Andy Means, and Mike Dunleavy comes out. So it's the victory lap time for the Blue Devils, and they revel in it. And there's his father, Mike Dunleavy, coach professionally with the Milwaukee Bucks and most recently the Portland Trail Blazers. Buckner with the first of a 2-shot foul. Now we're going to start to see Herb Sendek unload his bench. Will Roach getting set to come in. He'll step in. He's from Raleigh, redshirt freshman. And Ilya Neftimov. No, it's going to be Julius Hodge. And Hodge had himself quite a tournament. Big shot against Maryland yesterday.
And you know, I think as Hodge goes out of the game, that says something right there. As soon as Roach came off the bench, Eftimov turned and started running off the court. Eftimov has had such a tough day. I think that he'd really like for the day to be over.
Buckner with a pair of foul shots. And it is now 88-56, the faces of the final. And right now the smiles belong to the Duke Blue Devils. We'll have more on Championship Sunday from the Charlotte Coliseum after this message from the Atlantic Coast Conference. Very tough for Anthony Grundy to duplicate his performance of 32 points and 24 points respectively in the first 2 games. But look what he's done today. Only 13 points and all of that in the first half.
Really has been a struggle for Grundy. And Carlos Boozer on the other hand, I mean, that's a pretty good tournament when you shoot 20 of 24, you have 28 rebounds. My heavens.
Are we looking at a Case Award winner here? Or
well,
maybe so?
Certainly. He
Jason Williams. Grundy was a solid candidate for a while based on 2.5 games.
Now Boozer, his numbers today: 26 points on 11 of 12 field goals, 5 rebounds, 4 steals, 3 assists. You know, you certainly you're not going to get an argument from anybody if you vote for Carlos Boozer as the outstanding player of this ACC tournament.
It's Jason Williams.
Well, you're not going to get an argument there.
No, you wouldn't. Here's Horvath as we play out the string of this ACC Championship title game. 49th year. Conference gearing up for a gala 50-year celebration. They kicked it off today. Andre Buckner with the 3-pointer. Brother of Ray Buckner, who played for Clemson, scores, the Hopkinsville, Kentucky native. And everybody's up on the sideline for the Duke Blue Devils.
And on the plus side for North Carolina State, we showed you Anthony Grundy sitting over there on the bench, and he's a real competitor and obviously not very happy at all about the way things have transpired today. But it's just great for Grundy that he's going to be able to get another opportunity, that they're going to go in the NCAA tournament. And actually, I was speaking to some of the folks from Wolfpack land today. They're hoping that they can get a trip to Pittsburgh.
Well, that would be something. Herb Sendek coming from that area too. First, keep him in this region of the country, and then I don't know. You got to figure here is Sherrill going down the lane. Will Roach has the baseline. Tries to make a move. You got to figure out where will NC State place in all of this. I figured a win today might even get them in consideration for a 5th seed somewhere, but I think maybe 6th or 7th might be good there. And then where do the Blue Devils fit into this situation with Maryland going out in the semifinal round and winning and Duke winning the tournament championship while Maryland won the regular season championship? Are we looking at 2 number 1 seeds?
I think definitely we're looking at 2 number 1 seeds. Of course, the NCAA tournament committee is going to decide that here very, very shortly. But the interesting thing will be which of those teams will be the number 1 seed in the East. And in the past, the NCAA tournament selection committee has really given consideration to the team that won the regular season championship. But remember, this is the first year that The NCAA tournament is going to use what they're calling the pod system. So in the first and second rounds, you could have a potential scenario where, say, Maryland and Duke are each #1 seeds in different regions, but they are both, for example, playing in Washington, D.C., which is one of the first-round sites.
Well, would not face each other.
No, they would not. They could have, say, Maryland be the #1 seed in the East and Duke be the #1 seed in the South. And
but for proximity's sake, here's Sherrill feeding inside. Josh Powell, and it won't work. Andre Buckner on the floor with Mark Causey, Matt Christensen, Casey Sanders, and Andy Means now for the Duke Blue Devils. Will Roach on with Josh Powell.
But this will be very interesting. I think the ACC, obviously Duke and Maryland in the NCAA tournament, along with NC State and Wake Forest. And I think all 4 of those teams have the potential to win some games in that tournament, because I think this league, particularly at the top of the league this year, has been extremely competitive. You've had teams like, of course, Florida State that played Clemson in the opening round game. Florida State beat Duke.
Right. And of course, Virginia is kind of hanging there on the periphery, but it looks like they may not get in. Here is Crawford. Down the lane, Josh Powell. Mike Bell tries to finish as we finish out this 49th ACC Championship, and Duke is going to do what no one has done before, and that is win 4 straight ACC championships.
You know, Steve, individual teams, as we get a foul called right there, individual teams get notoriety when they win championships. And the program, obviously, as Duke has shown, really increases their notoriety when they continue to win championships. And certainly that has been the mark of the Duke Blue Devils for a long time.
Andy Borman replaces Andy Means in the lineup. Fly U.S. Airways to many of Florida's top cities and a variety of tropical destinations throughout the Bahamas, Caribbean, Bermuda, and Mexico.
You know, and you think back to that Johnny Dawkins, Mark Gallery, Jay Billis group that had not won an ACC tournament championship until their senior year. And I recall Mike Krzyzewski saying after they won that championship that he thought it was extremely important for that group that had done so much to bring Duke basketball back that they get the ACC tournament championship, because people will remember teams who win championships. Of course, they're sort of lost in the shuffle now, because a lot of Duke teams since then have won championships.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, this will be the 13th that will win a championship in the ACC tournament, and the 4th straight, and the first team to do that. And many of these players have been a part of that. And on the floor comes Brian Keeter, who is a senior from Cary, North Carolina, who replaced Clifford Crawford. North Carolina beat NC State back in 1968 by 37 points. That followed the infamous 12-10 game that NC State beat Duke on. And we're closing up.
That's a game where you go from one game and then you get a matchup in the championship game that just doesn't work out.
Similar to what happened here as NC State struck the upset in the semifinal, but they could not surpass a very strong Duke effort in the championship game. And the Duke Blue Devils have won the ACC Championship for the 13th time in their history, but for the first time, the ACC Championship has been won by the same team 4 consecutive years. Mike Krzyzewski talking with Larry Hunter as he makes his way down the NC State bench line. There you see Carlos Boozer. What a performance by him today. Mike Dunleavy was solid this afternoon. It was a solid Duke effort. They got after NC State right at the start and wouldn't let them breathe. Wolfpack got it to within 5, but then a 10-2 run at the end of the first half pretty much put the Wolfpack away as the Duke Blue Devils took a 14-point halftime lead and parlayed it into a 30-point championship run. Soak up the atmosphere at the Charlotte Coliseum. Conclusion and the result of the game, pretty much a foregone conclusion as Duke went to work in the second half, and their fans getting used to this celebration. 4 straight years they have won the ACC title.